All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We've got Zucks speaking in about 4 minutes, and we will be taking an update on what's going on in the world of Meta. Don't know how long this event is going to be. I think it's probably an hour, maybe 90 minutes, but at about 1 o'clock Eastern, so 10 a.m. Pacific, we should get an update on what's going on. I don't really follow Meta. I mean, I follow it closely, but not as closely in terms of the VR portion of the business. So today, I really have no idea what to expect, what we're going to see, what we expect to see, what the market kind of cares about, but we're going to see something. Seen Zucks speak at an event in a while, so this will be my first time watching him after a bit. The stock price right here, stock's up a little bit today, 569, up another 64% for the year, up about 1% on the day. It is the second best performing stock in the Max 7 outside of Nvidia. And so the market giving Meta all-time highs today kind of feels like they're expecting something big out of this event, and maybe it's a sell the news, and maybe it's what they expected, but I'm expecting some type of glasses integration with AI, maybe next generation Ray-Ban stuff for the streets to get really excited. I don't know if there's anything else we could expect from Meta. It's not going to be like any advertising crazy updates or anything like that. Should be just in the Meta Quest VR stuff, and we'll see kind of how it plays out. Snapchat right here, 1059, Nvidia 123. S&P is red on the day, but still holding up at that 570 level. Nvidia's had a great day, up about 2%. Rocket Lab still holding 857. It peaked at 880 on the day, up almost 20%. Now it's up about 13%. Not a bad day at all for Rocket Lab. A close above 850, I think, would be very, very bullish for Rocket Lab. Duolingo as well, up 8% on the day, peaked at 297, right now at 291. You got SoFi at 781, Rivian at 1118, Palantir 3678, kind of just chilling out in that 36 level. Meta right here, 569, up 1% on the day. And then you got the NASDAQ QQQ right here at 485, kind of flat on the day. So we'll see. Thomas says they already have LLMs integrated into the Ray-Bans. Okay, so then I would imagine if they introduce a next evolution of the Ray-Bans, it has something to do with the technology. Maybe it's lighter, maybe a better version of LLMs. I mean, I probably need to buy one of these glasses one day just to see what it looks like, because I have not really spent time working with this type of technology. I think last numbers I got, they sold 10 million of them last quarter. I could be so off on these numbers, but I think they sold a decent amount of them. Maybe it was 10 million last year. But we'll find out today. I mean, what they're going to introduce, what matters, and kind of what updates they're going to provide. I'm sure they're going to probably summarize what they've done over the past couple of months in regards to their hardware VR Quest glasses section. And then we'll get an update on what else is going on. Am I late? You are not late. We are streaming live from facebook.com, folks. So we will soon see what Zucks has to say on Facebook. They made us go to Facebook to stream this thing. So, I mean, let's see. Let's see what they got in store. It should be starting probably in like 30 seconds. And we'll learn about Zucks. Who wants these things emit? Well, I mean, look, they're still building them. There is an audience that are buying Ray-Ban glasses and Quests and stuff. People are buying them. Maybe it's not the average consumer. Again, Zucks has this world in which he can escape Apple's chokehold by creating a new hardware category that Apple doesn't own and that Meta can control the software and hardware. It's going to be hard to do that, but I think it's possible if they figure out how to make glasses mainstream. A little skeptical that that's going to happen either on Apple side or Meta side, but if that does happen, then that's a massive growth opportunity, obviously, for Meta as well. Chat says, I hope they say something that crashes the stock. I want more shares. Well, the thing is, even if we get a 10, 20% decline, Meta's had such a good year. I mean, it would probably be a good buy the dip, but it's not going to be a really fun buy the dip. Fun buy the dip is below 500, and I don't know if we get that. That would be, they would have to mess up at this event hardcore, and I don't think they would do that. But yeah, I agree, dude. Meta long term, I think it's one of the best Max 7s. It's been one of the best Max 7s, and below 400 on the Q1 earnings. I thought it was a buy, but I bought Palantir at 20 instead. So I'm fine with my choice there. But if I didn't buy Palantir, I remember literally it was on the market open. I was like, guys, should we buy Meta or Palantir? I could have got 1 share of Meta, 50 shares of Palantir, or 10 shares of Palantir. No, 20, because 20 times 20 is 400. I went with Palantir, but I agree. It's just an incredible company, and the cash flows are continuously increasing. They do not struggle when it comes to free cash flow growth. Tom says, I kind of hope they've integrated some mixed reality into the Ray-Bans. Do they not have mixed reality already into the Ray-Bans? I see. I don't know what the Ray-Bans do at all. Event is still not live yet. Like, isn't the whole point of putting on the glasses like I look into the world and then I can like see stuff in the real world, even though it's into the glasses? Maybe they showed that off today, or maybe there's already some elements of that inside of it. Kenneth says, I work with this technology daily in the industrial context. Benefits are huge. Yeah, so let me clarify there. I think there is a massive application for VR in the industrial context. I think the Panasonic Palantir partnership with VR is an example of that. For the consumer, I'm a bit more skeptical just because consumer products are hard to build and it's hard to get people to use something every single day. So for the industrial context, I think if we got, 20,000 engineers at a company that could all use a headset to become more efficient, I think that's a big use case. And maybe that itself justifies the manufacturing of it. But that's bullish for Meta and Microsoft. Apple makes devices for billions of people. Apple's not going to do that for, a 10 million person TAM in the United States. But Meta and Microsoft would. Now, I think the Quest is much more popular than the HoloLens by Microsoft, and it's just innovating more. But from a consumer perspective, we're gonna have to see, because that's where like all the real money is for Zucks and Tim Cook. Are they streaming on MySpace too? They still haven't monetized WhatsApp at all, have they? So they've done ads. By the way, it's not. I'll switch the screen once the event starts. It's not live yet. They've done ads in WhatsApp to an extent, but it's in beta, and they've also done like payment processing via WhatsApp for certain merchants. So you like they take like whatever percentage of the commission after you sell something via WhatsApp, kind of replacing Square to an extent. But yeah, it's not rolled out rapidly yet. And I think that's another growth curve of Meta that people don't talk about too much when it comes to WhatsApp. Chamath is on Joe Rogan. Is the podcast out? I heard that was coming out. I would love to listen to that. That one's going to be a fun one. Chamath, because Chamath's, yeah, it's out. Came out 2 minutes ago. 2 hours, 48 minutes. Oh, let me ask you guys a question. When you listen to a podcast, do you listen to the whole thing? So 2 questions. A, when you listen to a podcast, is it on YouTube or is it on an audio platform? And do you like legit take a couple of days to finish it? But you finish it start to finish, or do you skip around and look for clips? Because, ironically, I don't really listen start to finish on a lot of stuff as much as so there's some stuff I do, like 100% I do. There's other stuff where it's a bit more skipping around. This one might be the one where I just listen for the full 3 hours, because I respect Chamath a lot, and I'm curious what Rogan's gonna ask him with as well, and see what he has to say. I don't listen to 1.5 or 2x though. I don't do that. That's the thing. I don't do that. You guys do that. I don't do that. I don't know how to do that. I need to listen to it at a normal speed, even if it takes some time. It depends on the podcast. That's fair. Rogan's the only podcast. Dude, Rogan gets 11 million downloads a day. By the way, it's still not live yet. So we're still waiting. He gets 11 million downloads a day. That means 11 million people, even if half of them listen to the whole thing, 6 million people, 5 million people spending 3 hours with you. That is wild. It's kind of like the market open, market close, right? For the people that stay throughout the market open, it ends up being like an hour and a half, market close, hour and a half as well. But it's not a podcast because, it's A, there's video, and B, we're constantly switching a ton of topics, and I'm kind of, sometimes I bring on guests, sometimes I don't. So I feel like it's a different dynamic than like listening. It's a show, and a live show is a little bit different than like a, conversation between two people. Like Peter Thiel and Joe Rogan, I couldn't listen to that thing for 3 hours. I caught some clips here and there, but I cannot like legit listen for 3 hours. Now, there's some stuff where I like the Naval Ravikant podcast with Joe Rogan like 5 years ago. I listened to that thing fully. That was a great one. But usually when I tend to listen to something, it's in bits, not all the way through. But also when it's live, it's more of like an interactive show. So it doesn't really feel like a podcast. The chat is there. So it's like it's staying there for 2 hours doesn't feel like staying in a podcast for 2 hours. Okay, the show's not still up yet for Meta, so we're still waiting. Maybe Zucks is in the bathroom a little bit. You guys want to know something funny at AIPCon? So at the 4th AIPCon, the halftime show ended. Or was it the halftime show? Was it the halftime? No, it wasn't. No. At the 4th AIPCon, before a conference officially started. It started a little bit later because like Karp was taking his time, right? He was, I don't know, he was getting dressed, he was in the bathroom, whatever he was doing. Like, so the conference started later. This time, I think I told you guys the story. During the pregame, they said, hey, if Karp's a little late, you guys are gonna have to make up some stuff on the spot and keep talking, and we'll give you a signal. And they told us this 30 seconds before we went live. They're like, hey, by the way, Karp might be a little late. He might be doing whatever, so we're just gonna do this, and you guys have to keep talking. And then towards the end of the pregame show, they're like, and then I'm like, all right, time to do what I do best, baby. Just talk. Have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but just talk. I'm like, I kind of do this for a living, so this isn't that big of a deal. But it was exciting because it was like the heat of show business in that moment. They're like, hey, Karp might be busy. He might be using the bathroom. He might be changing. He might be talking to other people before he could come to the event. So you kind of so I imagine that's what's happening to Zucks right now. Zucks is doing something, which is why the show isn't starting. They're 7 minutes late. But you have to improv. And so we improv. Admit would be fire on Joe Rogan. Dude, I've got to figure out how to do something one day to get on Joe Rogan. That would be fun. Out to talk to Rogan for 3 hours. You know what? Well, one thing, I'm starting to map out my 2025, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are mapping up your 2025 as well. I really think there is a shot to start a Lex Friedman, Joe Rogan type of podcast in my way. And really scale the fuck out of it and like grow it. Like, I've been doing a lot of research on what it takes to grow a podcast like that. I think it would start in business because I think you have to start in a certain niche. You have to get the right guests and then you expand from there. So like, I can't start, talking about the nature of evolution. Like, who cares, right? Like people care in a specific niche. If you can get the right guests in my world, finance, investing, business, technology, and then you can expand to like a lot of those other conversations, which takes years to get to. I don't like, and you got to give people a reason to listen to your perspectives on other things. But I think there's a shot, dude. I'm putting the game plan together. It's not easy to do. It's really difficult, but I think if there's anyone who can try to become like another Lex Friedman or Joe Rogan by having long form conversations, I mean, I talk for 6 hours a day. So I feel like that part's done. Now it's just a question of getting the guests and then setting up what the studio looks like. All these conversations have to be in person. There's no way you can do these over Zoom if you really want to grow it. So we have to figure out that logistics. But that's one of the plans for 2025. That would be fun. Zucks is talking to his boy Jensen for more GPUs. That's probably what's happening right now, dude. That's probably what's happening. Yeah, they're late. They are not live. Meta, they're late. Do we want to just start listening to Chamath and Joe Rogan? Do you want to do that while we're waiting? I think let's just do that. As well, copyright this. I don't think he would, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna play Chamath and Joe, and we'll wait till Meta chat says no. Oh my god. Oh boy, chat's like, admit, I'd rather you tell me what's up and down than listening to. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. MIA says, in financial live streaming, why do you have to keep saying the F word? Does it make you look cool, more intelligent, or make you look cool? So I don't think I say the F word that much. I think if I say it, it's in the heat of the moment if I'm on a rant, but it's not like part of my vocabulary when I'm streaming. So if I do say it, I'm really trying to make a point. It is what it is. I'm sorry if you're offended by that, but sometimes it comes out. Mid is the F word spammer when he's happy. Yes. No, I do not swear a lot, bro. You guys are wild. Look, even Thomas, thank you. Thomas, I feel like I've almost never heard you swear. I don't swear that often. That's not, I'm not a, look, I'm a big swearer, but when I'm on live, I don't swear that often like that. Even in my Daily Palantir videos, I don't swear that often. But like, I do like to swear. I mean, like, in high school, we sweared a lot, dude. Like, it is what it is. I could tell I was cool with my teachers when I sweared in front of them. Like, that's when I knew, oh, my teachers were cool, bro. That's like when they didn't get upset. Like, I swear, they're like, oh, they like me. We're cool. But I don't think I swear too often. All right, so let's see what Chamath has to say for the first couple of minutes. Then we've got Zucks hopefully coming on pretty soon.
Inside is that edition. What it was?
That's what it's called.
Yeah. And fucking those things, they never go away.
As I say, I don't swear. I'm sorry, guys. It's Joe Rogan. I can't do anything about that.
It's such a weird environment. The left and right. There's no like centrist news source. on television. There's no
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I don't want to hear them talk politics. We're gonna go to the transcript. Is it out yet? Can I Command F like technology? Okay, here we go. We're just gonna go into the middle of a conversation where they're talking about tech. If I'm ruining the podcast for you, I'm sorry, but I really don't want to hear them talk politics in the beginning. So here we go.
concerns me is as this tech gets more and more invasive in terms of how human beings, particularly children, interface with it, and as it gets, I mean, we would just be guessing as to what comes out of AI and to what kind of world we're even looking at in 20 years. It seems like it's having a profound effect on the behavior of human beings, particularly young human beings and their developmental. How old are you?
I'm 48.
I'm 57. So when I grew up, there was zero of this. And I got this slow trickle through adulthood from when I was a child, the VHS tapes and answering machines through the big tech.
Yeah, you had the rotary phone.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
So we went through the whole cycle of it, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So you get to see this profound change in people and what it's doing to kids. And you got to wonder, like, what is that doing to the species? And is that going to be normal? Is it going to be normal to be emotionally disconnected and like very bizarre in our person-to-person interface?
I think that when technologies get going, you have this little burst, like it's like these Cambrian moments. You get these little bursts which are overwhelmingly positive. Like, I don't know what your reaction was, but my reaction when I first saw the iPhone, I was blown away.
Mm.
And I think like the first 4 or 5 years was entirely positive, because it was just so novel. Like, you took this big computer and we effectively shrunk it to this little computer, made it half to a third of the cost. And lo and behold, supply demand, just the number of computers tripled and quadrupled and quintupled, and so many more people were able to be a part of that economic cycle, all positive. Then you get a little dip, and the little dip is when I think we lose a little bit of the ambition of that first moment.
And 2 minutes left. All right, so that was the 27th minute on the Joe Rogan Chamath pod. If you want to go back to that, Zucks should be live in about 1:45. Let me know your expectations. Well, let's do this. Let me do a quick poll. Dump or pump on the event? Dump, pump, or flat on the event? We got Micron earnings after the bell today. We'll have Jose join us on that. But dump, pump. Chat said I fell asleep. Oh my God. Chad's like, is that the best AI take he had after studying AI for so long? Meta event. I mean, that is fair, dude. I feel like that their AI take, Chamath's AI take, is going to be kind of lame, and because we've heard so many AI takes now. So now he has 3 hours to talk about AI. I don't think it's going to be that revolutionary what they talk about. Well, we'll see. Maybe the pod has something interesting. Dump, pump, or flat? What do you guys think? Stock right now is at 570, basically. It's up 1% on the day. It's up like 12% over the past week. I have no idea, dump, pump, or flat. I just don't know what to expect out of this event. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what these events show off for Zucks. So we'll see. I just hope it's not some pre-recorded stuff, dude. I hate that Apple, after COVID, decided to do it. Like, the Steve Jobs presentations were like the most amazing part of the Apple launches. And then after COVID, they went to these pre-recorded stuff, and I think it took away all the magic from it. So hopefully it's not pre-recorded. Hopefully we get something good, but let's see. Let's see what they have to say here today. All right. In the poll, 37% say pump, 34% say dump, 29% say flat. So kind of even around all three choices, but most of you guys at 37% say it'll pump. All right, here we go. Here is the Meta 2024 event for Connect. All right, should be starting pretty soon.
Let's go. Come on in, turn it up, get in your zone. Light it up, colorful, make it your own. Brand new bounce on a brand new flow. It's a new world. It's a new world. Open up, get a dream. Make it magic. What do you see?
What can I see?
It's a new world.
Look at Zucks. Look at him.
Everyone. Welcome to Connect. All right.
Look at that shirt, bro.
We have a lot of stuff to show you. So we're gonna get through this pretty quickly. You know, it's been a busy year. It's been an exciting year, but it's been a very busy year. You know, a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about for a long time, right? Glasses, mixed reality, AI, it's happening. And you know, we can start to see how the future of computing and the future of human connection are gonna look. And it's pretty awesome. So with that, let's jump right in. This is the new Meta Quest 3S.
Okay, there you go. We got a new product already.
High quality mixed reality for $299.
Pretty cheap, in my opinion.
Hell yeah. I've been waiting for this one for a long time. You know, when we built Quest 3, we delivered the first high-quality mainstream mixed reality experience where you can see the world around you, you can reach out and touch digital things as if they're right there. Quest 3 is the best mixed reality device that you can buy today, and I am really proud of it. But we don't just innovate to advance the state of the art. We also build technology and innovate to bring the future to everyone. And we've been working on bringing the Quest 3 family to a lot more people. Quest 3S has the same defining features as Quest 3, high resolution, color, mixed reality, powered by the same processor, vivid pass-through, hand tracking, feels natural, touch plus controllers for precision. You get the full range of experiences from Horizon OS, gaming, social, fitness, watching videos, productivity, and more. You know, we optimized the whole system a lot. We swapped out the pancake lenses for Fresnel's, and with all of that, we were able to drop the price by $200. Now, in the past year, we've made so many improvements and optimizations to the technical stack, to the effective resolution, to the latency, to a lot more, that all of the things that I just mentioned, mixed reality, hand tracking software, is actually better in Quest 3S at $299 today than it was in Quest 3 when we launched it a year ago. And of course, all of those software improvements have flowed through to the Quest 3 2 to make it even better. So the bottom line here is that Quest 3 is the best family of mixed reality devices out there, period. So whether you're looking to get started with the base Quest 3S, or if you want the top-of-the-line Quest 3 with 512 gigabytes and 4K displays, which is now just $499, the Quest 3 family, it's not just the best value, it is the best product available. All right, now let's check out how good this pass-through really is. We got my friend Kenny back again, wearing the 3S. Everything you're gonna see up here is streamed from his headset live. This is what he is seeing. Yeah, it's sharp. All right, Kenny, what do we got? All right, now the first thing that you can see is that we have expanded the quality, the volume of content massively. Yeah, sorry to the dude next to him. Live demo artifact. All right, you can now run everything from 2D mobile apps to remote desktop for PC to fully immersive experiences all on one device. You can open screens, you can put them anywhere around you, you can have pretty much as many of them running as you want. You can put one on a wall if you want. I'm not sure if there's a wall that's in a close enough range that you can show. It happens. There you go. I can't tell you how many times Kenny has practiced this. All right. Anyway, you got movies playing. I don't know where we are in the demo at this point, but the bottom line, I think we're at theater mode. All right, so for the best watching experience, you can take any of the screens, you can blow it up into a cinema screen that fills the whole space. It's great for watching Netflix. You got Amazon Prime Video, YouTube, the new Twitch app. You can bring it anywhere you go. And you've got a giant screen that you can take anywhere. It's great for Xbox Cloud Gaming too. You get access to all these different titles wherever you are. And with spatial audio on Quest, wherever you place the apps, that is where the sound is going to come from. Dolby Atmos is coming to Quest, so now you're going to be able to watch movies in full surround. It is pretty neat. And we have also rebuilt all of our social apps for mixed reality 2. We've got all new Instagram and Facebook experiences to bring your feeds and your reels with you into mixed reality, a really nice interface so you can lean back, enjoy your content on nice big screens. And there's a bunch more too. All right, we've been working with Microsoft to upgrade remote desktop soon. So now you're going to be able to easily connect to any Windows 11 PC. You just look at the keyboard, and it'll start pairing. So if you want to work on a giant virtual display or a bunch of virtual displays, or if you want to work on your projects without distractions or with other people, Quest is going to be able to be a natural extension of your PC. So this is the path to building a general computing platform. But it's not just games, although it's really good at that. You're also going to be able to use it for apps and watching videos and doing all of the different things that you would do with a general purpose computer. Quest is the full package. Now, we also keep improving the social experience in Horizon because, it's kind of our thing, right? And because a lot of the magic in mixed reality is, you have this technology that lets you feel this sense of presence. It's different from every other computing platform that has ever been built before. And it's different from anything that any other platform can provide. All right, so look, now you can easily play a game, you can go to a concert, you can go to a virtual world together, and now you're also going to be able to easily move between these experiences by stepping through these portals. And we're introducing this. It's a new kind of primitive that we think is going to become kind of like the equivalent of a hyperlink in the metaverse. So we think that that's going to be a neat way to just jump around, and developers are going to be and creators are going to be able to add them to all these different spaces. And as you can see, we've also taken a step forward with the avatars. They're much better. More on that in a second. And you'll also be able to show up in more places with your avatars, including this YouTube co-watching, which is rolling out in beta next week, thanks to our friends at Google. All right. We are also working to bring photorealistic avatars into the metaverse. We've been talking about that a bunch, but today I actually want to show you something completely new. We're also bringing photorealistic spaces to the metaverse. And we call this Hyperscape. And the way this works is you can use your phone to scan a room and then recreate it, or you can step into a room that someone else has scanned and shared. So this one is Daniel Arsham's studio space. Let's look at another one. We've got, I think this one is the studio, I think, where Green Day recorded Dookie. And we can deliver this experience on standalone headsets, Quest 3 and Quest 3S. In fact, I encourage you to go download the Horizon Hyperscape beta app in the US and try it out yourself today. It's pretty wild, and we're planning on just adding more and more over time. I think it's really neat. All right, now of course there's gaming. So we got some really good ones coming, showing off what the Quest 3 family can do. Batman Arkham Shadow up here. Exclusively on the Quest 3 family. It's going to be included in any purchase of a Quest 3 or 3S that you buy this fall. Yeah, I think this one's going to be really good. We've also got other titles coming. Triangle Strategy from Square Enix. and Just Dance, welcome to Dance City. It's gonna be awesome in VR. All right, for the fitness crew, we also just rolled out group workouts with Supernatural together, so you're gonna wanna check this out. All right, so lots of great experiences, a lot more coming soon. That is the Quest 3 family lineup, the best mixed reality experience, now with Quest 3S, starting at $299. Pre-orders open today, and it's shipping on October 15th.
Not bad. Not bad.
Let's talk about AI. All right, so there is a lot of exciting stuff going on in AI, and we've got a lot of updates to talk about today. AI agents, creative tools, Llama, how this all intersects with our work on glasses and building future computing platforms. One of the simplest cases for AI use cases is your AI assistant, right? That basically you can use to answer any question and create content. And Meta AI differentiates itself in this category by not just offering state-of-the-art AI models, but also unlimited access to those models for free, integrated easily into our different products and apps. So Meta AI is on track to being the most used AI assistant in the world by the end of this year. In fact, it's probably already there, right? We're almost at 500 million monthly actives, and we haven't even launched in some of the bigger countries yet, so we're getting there. And today, we're making Meta AI even smarter with our new open source Llama 3.2 models. And I'm gonna get into more details about Llama 3.2 in just a minute, but one of the headlines is that they're multimodal. So now Meta AI can natively understand images as well as text. Now, we're using this new capability to build some features that I haven't seen anyone else build. I mean, this is pretty interesting and novel stuff. Creative tools that we're adding to Imagine Edit. It lets you upload any photo and edit it precisely with natural language in Meta AI across the apps. My family loves this. We spend a lot of time taking photos and making them more ridiculous. You know, one of my daughters actually just wrote a book, and we used Meta AI, and she used it to illustrate the book. It's just a lot of fun and awesome. All right, but moving on to another thing. This one I think is actually probably the biggest AI news that we have today. We're adding natural voice interactions to Meta AI. And you don't have to wait a while. We're rolling this out today and over the next few days. I think that voice is going to be a way more natural way of interacting with AI than text. And probably, I think it has the potential to be one of, if not the most frequent ways that we all interact with AI. It is just a lot better. So now you're gonna be able to have natural voice conversations with Meta AI across all the major apps. You got Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, Facebook. We want to make this fun. All right, so in addition to the different system voices that we built in that I think are pretty good, we've also worked with some of the most iconic voices out there to bring them to Meta AI, like John Cena, Judi Dench, Kristen Bell, Keegan-Michael Key, and Awkwafina. Should we try it out? Yeah. All right.
Okay, live demo here.
Hey, are live demos risky?
Live demos can be risky, yes. They can be unpredictable, prone to technical issues, and potentially embarrassing. However, they can also be engaging, memorable.
But I'm gonna do it anyway.
Go for it. Just be prepared for anything to happen. Fingers crossed.
Thanks, Awkwafina.
What is Awkwafina? I don't know what that is.
All right. Now, we are also building AI Studio, so that creators can make their own AIs to engage with their communities. We've started releasing a text-only version of this a bit earlier, but we're also working on a version that is more natural, embodied, and interactive. Don Allen Stevenson, this great creator who built one of the first text-only ones, You want to come out here and show us what you built with the new updated platform?
Hey.
Hello. How's it going? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
All right. All right. So you were one of the first creators to build one of these creator AIs with the text-only platform. Can you tell us what it does and your experience with it?
Yeah. So like for me, I've been treating my creator AI kind of like my digital assistant. So I've trained it on how I respond and how to engage with my audience, and then it can like send DMs, can share links to relevant resources, and then what else am I having it do? Oh yeah, it guides people through conversation. It's great.
Awesome. Well, how do you think creators are going to use this, and what do you think they're going to find it useful for?
The main one is like if you're getting a ton of DMs and you're missing the time to like respond. My creator AI for me has been like answering a lot of my frequently asked questions, and they get that response, and then it saves you time. I have time to go outside, take a break. And then the other thing is I have a lot of control over how it responds. So, I can have it train on how I write in threads, how I do captions.
Yeah.
So like all that control is like, oh, great. You speak the way I want you to speak.
Yeah. All right. Should we try out the new one?
Do they know about the new one? Yeah.
They don't yet, but they're about to.
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
They are winging this demo, but I love it.
Hey, congrats on the new book that you just released. What's the main thing that you're hoping that people take away from it?
Thank you so much. Yeah, the main thing I want people to take away from my book is the idea that you have the power to create your own opportunities by combining curiosity, adaptability, and resilience in a rapidly evolving digital world.
I saw a video of the epic outdoor standing desk that you wrote the book at. Is being in nature and standing desk important for your creative process?
Being in nature and using a standing desk is crucial for my creative process. It helps me think more clearly and come up with my best ideas. I'm way more creative and focused when I'm outdoors.
All right, I'm going to try to stump you with this one. Do you have any tips on cattle ranching?
I don't have any tips on cattle ranching. My expertise lies in technology and design, not agriculture.
Hey, it
Mine
works.
too.
It works.
Thank you. That was awesome.
That was so
It's
fun.
more than we've seen from Apple, right?
All right. Live demos sometimes work. All right. All right. One more creative tool that I want to highlight is we are experimenting with automatic video dubbing on Reels, starting with English and Spanish. So this is going to be a way that you can see more of the content that's out there, no matter what language you speak. And as a creator, this is going to let you reach a lot more people around the world, no matter what language you speak. So now you're going to be able to take your content, and it's going to be in your authentic voice, speaking other languages if you want. And we're also doing automatic lip syncing, so that way it actually looks like you are speaking the other language. So let's check this one out.
De coco, banana y dulce de leche. Esta receta fue una de las primeras que subí a las redes. Hace poquito la volví a descubrir y le hice un par de modificaciones para que sea aún más deliciosa. With coconut, banana, and dulce de leche. This recipe was one of the first ones I uploaded to social media. A little while ago, I rediscovered it and made a couple of modifications to make it even more delicious.
Mi lengua materna es
Not
el
bad,
español,
man.
pero fíjate, ahora también puedo hablar inglés a través del doblaje automático de IA. Mis labios se sincronizan con la traducción y todo. Es increíble. Qué cool poder conectar con personas y audiencias que hablen inglés. My native language is Spanish, but check it
Wow.
out. Now I can also speak English through AI automatic dubbing. My lips are synchronized with the translation and everything. It's amazing. How cool to be able to connect with people and audiences who speak English.
Dude, that's big for content creators. You can multiply your content by new languages.
Pretty neat. Looking forward to rolling this out more broadly and in a lot more languages. All right, now let's talk about Llama 3.2, our newest open source AI model. This is our first open source multimodal model, and it's going to enable a lot of interesting applications that require visual understanding. We're releasing 11 billion and 90 billion parameter multimodal models. These are counterparts to our 8 billion and 70 billion text-only models. And they're going to be widely available everywhere, except the EU, unfortunately, to start, but I remain eternally optimistic that we will figure that out.
That's some shade at Europe, folks.
Now, we are also, in addition to that, releasing much smaller 1 billion and 3 billion parameter models that are optimized to run on devices. I'm really proud of the result here. These are the highest performing and best models of their sizes, the best models that I think you're going to be able to run on a device. This is a slide showing how quickly it runs locally when you're running it on a device. So this is going to be, I think, going to be the best models that you can run on a phone, or soon that you'll be able to run on glasses, which I will get to in just a moment. But the bottom line is that Llama continues to improve quickly, and it's enabling more and more capabilities. We're just adding more and more over time. And now that Llama is at the frontier in terms of capabilities, I think we've reached an inflection point in the industry where it's starting to become something of an industry standard. It's sort of like the Linux of AI. And we're seeing closed source labs react by trying to slash their prices to compete with Llama. But look, I think the trend and trajectory is pretty clear, and we know where all this is going. I think open source is going to be, already is, but is definitely going to be the most cost-effective, customizable, trustworthy, and performant option out there for developers to use. And I'm really proud of the work that we were doing on this.
I love how relaxed Zucks is on stage.
All right, now, speaking of AI and glasses, we are seeing the emergence of a new AI-centric device category. People love their Ray-Ban Meta glasses, so much that for a little while we were struggling to keep up with the demand, but I think we're on top of that now. Cross my fingers. Glasses are a very natural computing platform, right? They're great for taking photos and videos. You don't have to pull out your phone. You can live stream from them now. You can do video calls where you can stream what you're looking at. I personally love the audio, right? Listening to music or audiobooks or taking phone calls. We got the open ear speakers, so you're not, what's going on around you isn't obscured from you. But one of the most important things about this is they're also just good-looking glasses, right? Because the reality is that most of the time you're not using smart functionality, yet at least. So people want to have something on their face that they're proud of and that looks good and that's designed in a really nice way. So they're great glasses. We keep updating the software and building out the ecosystem, and they keep on getting smarter and capable of more things. So for example, pretty soon you're going to be able to control Spotify and Amazon Music with voice alone. We are also adding new app integrations from Audible and iHeartRadio so that you can easily access more and more content from the glasses. But the most important and awesome part of the whole thing is the AI. All right, so glasses, they're kind of the perfect form factor for AI, right? For letting an AI assistant see what you see, hear what you hear, be able to communicate with you privately, so it can help you out with whatever you're doing throughout the day. And we keep upgrading the AI with these iterative releases, and we've got a particularly big set of releases coming up over the next several months that I'm going to talk about today that I'm really excited about. So let's start with the smaller things. We'll kind of build our way up. All right, so first, we're making it more natural and conversational. So now, instead of having to say, look and tell me when you want to use the camera or use multimodal AI, you're just going to be able to say, hey, Meta, what kind of smoothie can I make with these? And instead of having to keep saying, hey, Meta, every time you want to talk to it, you're just going to be able to keep the conversation going. So small improvements, making it a lot better and easier to use. All right, next, we are adding the ability for the glasses to help you remember things. So if you're heading somewhere, no more forgetting where you parked. Now it'll just help you out with that. Your glasses have you covered, and they can also remind you to pick up those avocados when you go to the store so you can make that smoothie. All right, now they're also going to be able to take actions based on what you're looking at. So text, if you're looking at a phone number, you can remember it, or you can ask it to call the phone number. You can ask it to visit QR codes, or if you're looking at a billboard, it can remember things and can scan it. So I think that that's going to be awesome and make it a lot more useful too. The next one is a kind of really interesting feat of technology. We're adding multimodal video AI. So Meta AI is now going to be able to give you real-time help as you are doing things, like trying to figure out what outfit you want to wear for a party that you're going to. And you can kind of get a sense of how useful it's going to be to have glasses and AI that can understand what's going on around you and can give you suggestions and feedback as you go. So yeah, pretty excited about this. I mean, this is the beginning of, I think, a big thing. There's a lot to build out around this to make it more useful over time, but this is going to be a big platform. All right. One feature that I am quite excited about is live translation. So Meta AI on your glasses is going to be able to translate for you in real time. So if you're talking to someone who speaks Spanish or French or Italian, you're going to be able to hear it in your ear in English. And if you want, we have the mobile companion app that can translate what you say back to them in their own language. All right, now, like a lot of people who live in California, I sometimes like to think that I speak some Spanish, but I don't. But I am about to have a conversation with Brandon Moreno, former UFC flyweight champion of the world, where he is speaking Spanish and I am speaking English. All right, Brandon, you want to come out here and show us this?
Starting live translation from Spanish to English.
Hey, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo está tu rodilla? ¿Has vuelto a entrenar?
Hey, how are you? How is your knee back training?
Doing well. Knee is doing well. It feels strong. I'm ramping up training. How are you doing? Are you getting ready for your next fight?
Haciendo bien. La rodilla está haciendo bien y sentirse fuerte. Estoy aumentando el entrenamiento. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Te estás preparando para tu próxima pelea?
Sí, estoy listo.
Awesome.
Yes, I am ready. Increíble.
I don't really need anyone to translate for me to understand that. But I am looking forward to your fight. It's going to be awesome.
No necesito a nadie para
November,
traducir
you've
para
got
que
this.
entienda
Good
eso.
luck. Have fun out there,
Pero
man.
estoy deseando tu pelea. Va a ser increíble. Noviembre. Tú puedes. Buena suerte. Diviértete ahí fuera, hombre.
Go for it.
¡Viva México, señores! ¡Let's go!
That's cool.
The demo gods are looking somewhat favorably upon us. All right. I think this is going to be awesome. We're going to keep on adding more languages. That is one way that glasses that can see and hear what you see and hear are going to be able to help you. But I want to show you one other way that I think is going to be really neat. We are partnering with an organization called Be My Eyes. That is an app that connects blind and low vision people with volunteers through live video so that they can talk through what is in front of you. And this has been very successful on phones, but I think it's going to be even more amazing with glasses, because now you're going to be able to do a call through your glasses, and the volunteer is going to be able to see what is in front of you, what you're facing with your glasses, and is going to speak to you in your ear and explain it to you while you have your hands free and are just going about your day. So I think that not only is this going to be a pretty awesome experience today, but it's a glimpse of the type of thing that might be more possible with always-on AI that will be, I think, just incredibly powerful with glasses in the future for a lot of people to have all the time. So I'm grateful to these guys and excited to roll this one out.
That's really cool. That's pretty damn cool.
All right. Now, the more useful that the glasses get, the more that people want to be able to use them anywhere, right? So not just outdoors, but also indoors. And for a lot of people, getting sunglasses is sort of an easier jump to make than making it your main glasses. But fortunately, our partner, EssilorLuxottica, is the best in the world at making optical lenses, and that includes both RX and prescription lenses, as well as transition lenses. And the transition lenses especially are getting really good. They're really fast. So you go outside, they get dark. You go inside, they get light really quickly. And now we're bringing the full range of EssilorLuxottica transitions lenses to the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, so that way you can go get them in prescription, optical, transitions, or sunglasses, whatever you want. You're going to increasingly be able to use them anywhere you go. As they get more and more useful, I think a lot more people are going to want glasses that they can take indoors, outdoors, everywhere that they go. I think this is going to be a big deal. All right. All right, now I'm not going to leave you up here without releasing some new designs. So today we are dropping a limited edition of clear, transparent frames. I think this is neat because it's a neat vibe, right? You can see the technology in them. For the first few versions, we spent so much energy designing the glasses to basically hide the technology, to make them look like normal, stylish glasses. But now I think people are starting to appreciate what makes them special, and I think having a design that celebrates that is pretty awesome. So there you go. It's a limited edition. Go get them while they're available. Enjoy.
I actually like it. Looks cool.
All right, so this whole category of AI glasses it's taken off a lot faster than I expected. I actually thought, if you'd asked me a few years ago, I would have said that we were going to have to wait until we had full holographic AR glasses for glasses to become a mainstream product. But between the really impressive advances in AI and just the fact that these are great glasses on their own, even when you're not using any of the functionality I just talked about, this has become a real hit. And I'm really proud of this, really excited to be working with our partner, EssilorLuxottica, and for the exciting roadmap that we have up ahead of just really amazing things on the horizon. Now, with that said, we've also been working on full holographic AR glasses for almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. And that is still the full vision that we're working towards. And I have something that I want to show you today.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah, thanks for keeping them secure.
Just hold that.
Okay. Okay.
Watch your head.
This is cool. This is cool.
Close that for me. Yeah.
All right, here we go. There you go. This is Orion, our first fully functioning prototype, and if I do say so, the most advanced glasses the world has ever seen.
Huh.
Now, about a decade ago, I started putting together a team of the best people in the world to build these glasses. And the requirements are actually pretty simple. But the technical challenges to make them are insane. They need to be glasses, not a headset, no wires, less than 100 grams. They need wide field of view, holographic displays, sharp enough to pick up details, bright enough to see in different lighting conditions, large enough to display a cinema screen or multiple monitors for working wherever you go, whether you're in a coffee shop or on a plane or wherever you are. And you need to be able to see through them. And people need to be able to see through them too and make eye contact with you. Right? This isn't pass-through. This is the physical world with holograms overlaid on it. So if someone messages you, you will see that. And instead of having to pull out your phone, there will just be a little hologram, and with a few subtle gestures, you can reply without getting pulled away from the moment. Or if you want to be with someone who is far away, they're going to be able to teleport as a hologram into your living room, as if they're right there with you.
That's crazy.
You're going to be able to tap your fingers and bring up a game of cards or chess or holographic ping pong or whatever it is that you want to do together. You can work or play or whatever. Building this display is different from every other screen that you have ever used. And that is because it is not actually a screen. It is a completely new kind of display architecture with these tiny projectors in the arms of the glasses that shoot light into waveguides that have nanoscale 3D structures etched into the lenses so they can diffract light and put holograms at different depths and sizes into the world in front of you. And all of that is directed by custom silicon and sensors that we designed and powered by a battery that fits in the arm of the glasses. It is an absolutely incredible amount of technology to be able to miniaturize and fit into a pair of glasses and a small puck that goes with it to help power the whole thing. All right, so how are you going to interact with the glasses? Well, there's a few ways that this is going to work. They're going to do voice and AI. They're going to do hand tracking and eye tracking, so you can select UI elements by looking at them. But there's one more way that you're going to be able to interact with them that is really pretty neat: a neural interface. See, voice is great, but the thing is sometimes you're in public and you don't want to say what you're trying to do with your computer out loud. Hand tracking is neat for controlling different interfaces, but you don't want to like walk down the street like this, right? So I think that you need a device that allows you to just send a signal from your brain to the device. So this isn't just the first full screen, like full wide field of view holographic AR glasses. This is also the first device that is powered by our wrist-based neural interface. So when people have gotten to try out these glasses, we've shown them to a handful of people at this point. It's like an emotional experience. I mean, like people are kind of giddy, they don't want to take them off. A lot of people have said that this is the craziest technology they've ever seen. It was enough that I wanted to add to this keynote a montage of some of the fun reactions that people have had, since it's pretty wild. So you want to cut to that for a second?
Zucks did say they have some big announcements today. I think this is it.
My God.
Ah.
Wow. Whoa.
Well, that is insane. The weight of this is just such a game changer.
It's comfortable.
Yep. 100 grams is the real deal.
Oh my God, Jensen!
Wow, it's super sleek already. This side and no cable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's freedom.
Really?
Yeah.
Meta's pumping, baby.
Oh, your cars.
It's 3D.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Meta's up 3% or 2%.
No way.
The multitasker in me is loving this.
This is pretty crazy that I can do 4 things at once.
The head tracking is good.
Oh my God,
The
Jensen.
brightness is good. The color contrast is good. Field of view is excellent.
I see it super clear.
It's crazy responsive. Learning with these will be amazing. Like piano would be insane.
Amazing.
Yo, this is crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
This is like breaking the 4-minute mile.
It's so fast. Tracking is extremely good.
Such good sound design too.
Wow, and she's so clear.
When this became the television, that became the radio.
Yep.
That's what's coming next.
Yeah. This is the coolest thing.
So cool.
That's cool.
This game is so fun.
I have not.
This is so much better than Apple.
I'm playing with a 3D avatar.
I see you're very focused now.
Yeah, very focused. You really do kind of feel like a superhero. It's like a new sense, new dimension.
575.
This can
Wow.
be just a whole new world.
Oh my God, that just pumped Meta.
All right, so with Orion, we are getting closer to achieving the dream of Reality Labs, to create the next major computing platform that delivers a deep sense of presence like you are right there with another person. This is where we are going. All right, so where are we today? So, with Orion, we achieved most of the goals that we set out in this program. If I'm being honest, we probably achieved a lot more of the goals than the team thought we were going to when we started this. But we do still have a few things that I want us to keep pushing on before we ship this as a consumer product. We're going to keep tuning the display system to make it sharper. I want to keep working on the design to make it smaller and a bit more fashionable. And we're going to keep we need to keep working on the manufacturing to make it a lot more affordable too. But we have line of sight to all of those things. So we are going to use Orion as a dev kit. We are going to use it mostly internally to build out the software that we need to, but we're also going to work with a handful of partners externally to make sure that we get a diversity of content and just that we can really dial in the software and the experience, so that way, when we have the next version of this hardware, it is going to be ready to be our first consumer full holographic AR glasses.
Wow.
But for now, I think the right way to look at Orion is as a time machine. These glasses exist, they are awesome, and they are a glimpse of a future that I think is going to be pretty exciting. All right. We covered a lot of ground just now. Quest 3S, high quality mixed reality for $299. Meta AI, the leading AI assistant, now even smarter and with natural voice conversations. Llama 3.2, including the best open source multimodal models and best models for running on device. Ray-Ban Meta AI glasses with lots of awesome AI updates and new style. And Orion, the most advanced glasses in the world and our first prototype of full holographic AR. Told you we were busy. All right, now, all of this comes together to build what I think is going to be the future of human connection and the next generation of computing platforms. In every generation of technology, there is competition of ideas for what the future should look like. And at Meta, we are trying to build a future that is more open, more accessible, more natural, and more about human connection. This is the continuation of the values and ideas that we have brought to the apps and technology that we have built over Meta's first 20 years. And I think that if we do this well, then collectively, us at Meta and all of you here today have the ability to shape both the industry and the world in even more positive and bigger ways in the next generation of computing than we have so far. This is such an exciting time to be building. And I just want to close by saying that I'm grateful for all of you who are building with us. Thank you for being on this journey with us. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day at Connect. Thank you.
Phones are not going to be the end of the line, but we're not going to be here in the 2030s communicating and using computing devices that are exactly the same as what we have today. And someone has to build that and believe in it.
Meta invented a damn time machine. Hi, Nora. Daddy's calling from the future. I'm wearing these amazing AR glasses that you'll probably use when you grow up.
Over the next 10 years, the form factor is just going to keep on getting smaller and smaller, and eventually we're going to have what looks like normal-looking glasses.
You're looking at the culmination of decades of breakthrough inventions in nearly every field of computing. It's one of the hardest challenges the tech industry's ever attempted. See, Orion is a time machine. It'll let Meta live in the future as they build the next generation of AR experiences. Now let me nerd out for a second, because this is a technological marvel. The display isn't made of glass. It's made of silicon carbide, which delivers an unprecedented 70-degree field of view. That means Meta engineers figured out how to bend light beams in ways it does not like to bend. The frames are made of magnesium, just like an F1 car, because it's light and radiates away heat. I mean, you can't just put a fan in glasses. Orion cools itself by glowing. It uses the same materials NASA uses to cool satellites in space. You have to be absurdly determined to build something like this. But competitiveness runs deep around here. Mark wouldn't even let me beat him at Pong.
But then, of course, the full vision is you just have like a full field of view, holograms where, you know, we're having this conversation of the future and like I'm sitting on your couch next to you as a hologram and we're just there and we have this full sense of presence. Here we are.
Oh yeah, forgot to mention, large holographic displays. The real world is our canvas. Our experiences shouldn't be limited to glowing rectangles. One day soon, we'll once again look up, connected, empowered, and present.
Please welcome to the stage producer, writer, and director, Matt.
Okay, so that's all we're going to watch, folks. If you want to keep watching it, you can go into Facebook, but that's pretty much the most important stuff that mattered, which was the actual product announcement. So give me 15 minutes. Let me sum up my thoughts on that, and then I'll get you guys out of here. I'll see you guys back on the market close at 3:45 p.m. with Micron earnings. And we'll have Jose join, and we'll get deep into that one. Okay, so first thought, anyone who has doubted Zucks over the past, call it 3 years, you were wrong. It's just that simple. You were wrong. Zucks has officially shown Cambridge Analytica doesn't matter. Congress suing them doesn't matter. Like all this stuff around the controversies he went through around social media, none of it matters, even if you don't like the guy, because he can produce results. That topic or that keynote, right, that we saw for the past 40 minutes, I think he basically just said he's coming for the whole market when it comes to AI glasses. I did not see anything that I saw in those past 40 minutes from from Apple in the context of their vision for VR and AR. You could see Meta right here, stocks pumping right when they sold Jensen. It was at 575, now at 573. Forward earnings of 26. You could say that's kind of expensive. You could also say that's kind of not expensive if you think that's thing that, you know, the glasses are going to grow like crazy. But right there, it's at 573. Apple right here, on the other hand, is down 1.1% while that is playing. Duolingo as well took a little bit of a hit. Duolingo still up 7% on the day, but it fell from 297 to 287 right when Zucks was talking about the language translation stuff on those glasses. The reason I say people were wrong about Zucks is because the advertising business, they figured out. Reality Labs, the metaverse, probably doesn't matter that much, but they're transitioning all the GPUs they bought for the metaverse and just applying it to AI, which is like perfect because the CapEx doesn't have to go down in terms of the spend. They can justify the CapEx to Wall Street because they're doing it for AI. The advertising revenues are going up 20% because they're becoming more efficient. And they're allowed to experiment on other things, even if it's not the metaverse, like glasses, because of all the money they already spent getting those GPUs ready back in 2021. So I think that's the first thing. Number two, the AI features they talked about in terms of translating your voice and dubbing a video into like 17 different languages and being able to tell Meta AI, hey, I want a blue hat, and then it just pops up a blue hat on the picture. I don't think any of that stuff is revolutionary. We've seen GPT and Gemini mess around with a lot of that stuff. However, it's still really good for Meta. Why? Because Meta has 3 billion people using their products, particularly on Instagram and Facebook. And those are content creator heavy products. Really, Instagram. I mean, Instagram has a lot of creators. If I can make an Instagram reel about, you know, the stock market, and that Instagram reel is translated into 50 different languages and 50 different audiences could discover who I am. And then they could come to a YouTube channel where the market open stream is done in 50 different languages, which would be kind of crazy, by the way, if I'm talking in Spanish in the morning via AI. Like, that's just more attention, more potential opportunity. It's more engagement for these platforms. Like, there's so many different ways they can deepen the level of creator consumer interaction that they have. So I think that's really important. None of that stuff, again, revolutionary, but it's important. It seems like they're stepping up their game. And all of that is because of Llama 3.2. I like that. I think Chad had a good point in the chat. Llama from an enterprise use case needs to be deployed within business applications, aka something like Palantir's AIP needs to plug in the Llama 3.2 and then see, is it better than Gemini, GPT, etc. We don't know that yet, right? Because it's not officially out. So I guess in the next coming weeks and months, we'll figure that out. But from a consumer perspective, it looks like internally there's a lot of applications that they showed off on the social side. And if they can keep expanding those applications because they have all the users, then that's going to be very efficient. Finally, these Orion holographic glasses. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of glasses. I've been skeptical on glasses for a long time. I never really believed in glasses as a new form factor. This video did not make me change that perspective, although the use cases that Zucks described felt a little bit more realistic for why holographic glasses mattered versus whatever I saw from the Vision Pro. Now, this is a prototype. It's in beta. But basically what he's describing is, hey, we have a world in which you can put on a set of glasses that's not as chunky as the Vision Pro, but doesn't have as small as the functionality as the Ray-Ban glasses have. We're packing in a lot into one thing, kind of hybrid of both worlds. And given the hype video they showed, it seems pretty special. They had a lot of celebrities there, including Jensen. By the way, you know they had to have Jensen in the hype video. Zuckerberg spent God knows how many tens of billions on his GPUs. But you're getting these celebrities that are looking like they have real reactions to how they're seeing the future of technology evolve in front of them. And right now, if you ask me, admit, gun to your head, is Apple or Meta going to create the next biggest form factor that replaces this phone, or at least has a chance of replacing this phone? I would say Meta, and I'd sleep well at night. Wow, Meta 576. Look at that. Look at that. And you know what pisses me off about Meta, and maybe I just have to pull the trigger in 2025. I've wanted to own this stock for so long. I did own the stock at 300. People forget I owned Meta at 300. I sold it for Palantir. I took a loss on it after they dropped to 240, and I bought Palantir at 12. So it is what it is, but I've always wanted to own Meta. I've never felt the hatred for Zuckerberg that a lot of people feel. And I understand why they feel that hatred. I'm not delegitimizing that. It's just on a personal level, I didn't think it was the biggest deal in the world. And I felt, you know what, everyone's going to advertise here. I think there is a thesis to go long. And I just never got back into the stock, right? The stock kind of ran away from me. At some point, maybe you got to swallow the bullet and say, you know what, even if I buy in and it dips, I'll just sell some more puts and continue to establish a position. Because I don't see in the next 5 years at minimum how people are not going to be using their products, how billions of people that are coming online are not going to be using more of their products, and how their internal R&D that they've had a decade of experience with, remember they acquired Oculus back in 2014, is not going to pay off in the future. I don't think Tim Cook knows what he's doing when it comes to virtual reality. At all. And maybe I'll be humbled when they introduce Vision Pro 2 and it's so much spectacular and better, but I don't think I compared to Meta, dude, I do not think, and this is not a new opinion. I'm not saying this in the heat of the moment. I felt this for a long time. Now it just feels like Zucks is taking it up to another level. Now, another thing he said is we are overwhelmed by the amount of demand we have for the glasses. I got to see some research on this, dude. Apparently they're selling out like hotcakes. And if that's the case, I think that's another reason why the street's buying it, because they should be showing some more revenue, even if they don't get any net income from those glasses, even if they're loss leaders. That should help top line revenue growth. And that's kind of all the street cares about, is more revenue to justify this CapEx. So I think it's up 2.2% right now based on that. Meta basically added $24 billion of market cap today because of this 2% pump on a $1.46 trillion company. So that video with Jensen was basically worth $24 billion. Which is still not as much as Zucks has been paying him for the GPUs. I liked it. I thought it was a bullish event, dude. I thought it was a bullish event. Also, in terms of Zucks' a stage presence, so a couple things here. As a public speaking guy, I've been speaking on stages for a while since I did debate in high school, and I have a little bit of experience of coaching people in public speaking. There was an element to it that was so nonchalant, so relaxed, so hey, is there even a teleprompter there? This guy's just talking to talk, which could turn people off. But for me, given we've seen Zuck be a robot for the past decade, it was really nice to just see him get up on stage, make some mistakes, kind of chuckle a little bit, kind of not know what he wants to say, be a little awkward in the transitions from topic to topic, because it's like he was just hey, I got a lot of work to do. My team said I had to do this event. I'm popping up. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, cool. You guys like it? Play the video. I'm out. That's what it felt like. And that's what I like out of a CEO, out of a founder CEO. That's another thing about Meta. My thesis this whole year has been best-in-class products, founder CEOs leading the ship. Zucks is the only founder left in the Mag 7 outside of Elon. Well, Jensen. Yeah, Jensen too. Microsoft, not a founder. Apple, not a founder. Amazon, not a founder, and then Google, not a founder. So you got Zucks, Elon, and Jensen leading it he felt like a founder, and he felt like he really wanted to show the goods, but he wasn't scared to kind of present a lot of this stuff. What are you guys thinking? Bullish or bearish? What are you guys thinking? What are you guys thinking? Zocult says Google was onto something, but was too early, gave up too fast, and the tech wasn't pretty enough. Yeah, Google Glasses in 2010 was too early, and I don't think they've innovated since then to try to get back to these levels. Doug says, I bought Meta 2 earnings ago when it dumped 15% on earnings when they said they weren't reducing CapEx. I think that was a great buy. I think that was a fantastic buy. I mean, for them to dump on CapEx when CapEx is the reason they're even being able to innovate is just like the street being dumb. Amit, let's go long. I would love to go long. It's just the liquidity. I don't have a ton of liquidity to go long right now. B, 575. I don't know, bro. As much as maybe it's one of those things where you buy it and you swallow it and you just deal with the consequences later if it goes back down to 550. I feel like we'll get a better entry price on Meta. Like, I feel like 570. I mean, come on, at least 540. You'll get a better entry price, but who knows? Maybe it runs away after Q3. Maybe. I mean, a bunch of firms upgraded them to 650. I think Piper Sandler or Oppenheimer upgraded them to 645 the other day. Maybe Q3 earnings blows it out of the water. Maybe it does. Doug says Apple keeps innovating on cameras, and maybe that's useful, but less than 1% of people know how to use all those features. That's 1000% correct. The new iPhone app, or the new iPhone with the camera app. I mean, dude, like, does anyone really give a shit? Like, does anyone really? I just don't think people care that much, dude. It's photos. Like, most people aren't professional photographers. That side button to control the camera, I just don't. That's not true innovation. Not a new form factor at the end of the day. Almost 577. Wow. Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm not buying it today. Maybe in 2025, when hopefully I have some more capital, that's when I sell some puts, and that's how I scale into it. But I don't know. At all-time highs, it's not an exciting buy today. No matter how exciting these features were today that they announced, at all-time highs, it's not the most interesting stock in the market. And again, it's not just Meta. By the way, Palantir right here, 36.91, getting a little bit of green. It's every stock in the market. Most stocks are up a lot. So this is one of those rallies where I think if you've been patient and you've been buying on dips, especially August 5th, if you took the chance of buying that dip, I think you kind of just sit back and let people chase, right? And maybe you don't have to be the chaser in this rally. I know plenty of you have probably chased in the past. I for damn sure have chased in the past. It's nice sometimes to kind of just sit back and let other people chase, because they will chase. The chase, institutional and retail wise, people will chase. But I think there might be some better opportunities later to get into some of the names that we like. But end of 2024, we might have people chase, and it ends up just running based on that. Where's Snapchat? Yeah, where is Snapchat? I didn't even take a look at Snapchat during this. Snap is up a little bit. So the street thinks it's a probably expanding TAM. That's why Snapchat's up. Apple's down. Make no mistake about it. That 1% down is because of Meta. That is because of Meta. This morning, it was because of iPhone sales being lower than expected. Now that red candle is because of Zucks. I mean, Zucks just showed how to really launch a product, even if it's not even launched, dude. That thing is a prototype, the Orion holographic glasses. But it just feels more exciting than anything that we've seen from Apple. Like legit anything. And here's the thing about Apple. Apple says they want to keep innovating. And I'm actually been on Apple's side. I've said, hey, we can't blame Apple for not innovating, because it's really hard to innovate on the iPhone and the AirPods. Like, we should cut them some slack. Zucks is showing off what it means to like really innovate and like try to build a new form factor. And that's where I understand the criticism of people getting mad at Tim Cook for not innovating, because you got Zucks showing it's possible. And Zucks has way less resources than Apple to do it. I mean, Apple has a lot more money than Meta to be able to innovate. And I think they have, access to just a lot more talent in general. Like, it's one of those things where you would imagine Apple comes to the party, but not only do they miss out on the LLM stuff, which is why they're partnering with OpenAI, now it looks like they might be missing out on the wearables. Maybe they come out with some new glasses in the next 6 months, and they were working on the Vision Pro 2, and it's going to be way better than what we expected. But so far, based on going off what we see, we are not seeing any evidence of that yet. When are the new Ray-Bans for sale? So they didn't announce it. No, October 15th. I think they said October 15th. Pre-order is today, and then October 15th, I think they go live. So right before the holidays, which is not too bad. Seems like most of you are bullish. Is anyone bearish on this today? Is anyone bearish on this? I don't know, dude. It's hard to be super bearish. And the fact that most of the chat, we had about 1,200 people in here. The fact that pretty much all of you were excited during the event, that's my social proof to be like, okay, so people thought it was cool. Because it's pretty quick if people don't think there's anything exciting, and most of you guys thought it was. On the poll, I said about 51% of you said no, you're not buying the new Meta glasses for Ray-Bans. 49% of you said yeah. So, I mean, we are seeing a decent amount of people say, hey, I will buy those glasses. 24x forward, less than 1 on the peg. One can argue Meta's cheap here. I know that's crazy at all-time highs. But remember, Meta's one of the only Mac 7 that's really growing. Like, actually growing. Outside of NVIDIA, right? Obviously, NVIDIA, yeah, they're growing. But, like, Google's not growing like Meta. Microsoft's not growing like Meta. Amazon's not growing like Meta. Apple is just not growing at all. Tesla, they're growing, but, you know, they're dealing with stuff with all the backlogs on EVs and interest rates being high. Meta's like legit growing the top line business by 20%, which is exciting for a company trading at all-time highs. Matthias says Meta's going to keep grinding up like NVIDIA. Will be at 700 by spring as people lament not buying the 500s. Yeah, if we avoid a recession, I agree. If we get into a recession, that's where shit hits the fan. Companies innovating and putting out R&D and really building out new products. Hopefully it's strong enough for the consumer to feel. Remember, at the end of the day, consumers still have to buy this stuff. And, you know, we analyze the consumer every day on the show, but if consumers are not in a horrible position, they will be able to spend. If they aren't, or if they are, then they won't. And then, you know, Meta will get a haircut with the rest of the market. But if we avoid that, I think the market will be excited. Vivek Ramaswamy just did Lex Friedman's podcast. So Chamath did Joe and Vivek did Vivek did Lex Ramaswamy. Vivek did Lex Friedman. All right. So if you're a podcast bro, you've got some podcasts to dive into. Those are 2 big ones. Oh, Cleo just put out a podcast with Zucks as well. Wow, we got another one. Cleo Abram. You guys might not know her, but I'll link it in the chat. She's a pretty cool YouTuber. She just did a new podcast with Zucks trying on those glasses. And that just came out right now. Do we want to play a little bit of that video? Honestly, because Zucks had all this music in his stream, I don't even think I'm pretty sure this will get copyright striked. So we might as well say screw it. And we'll play some other stuff. It's a 47-minute video. Oh, it's a podcast. Yeah, it's a little too long. I want to see if there's like any moments we could. How about this? How about we'll watch the first 5 minutes of this and then I'll get out of here and then you guys can watch the rest. But let's at least see the first 5 minutes of this. Here we go. Here's Zucks on a podcast talking about these glasses.
10 years of work right there.
Someone on your team called these the real life Tony Stark glasses.
Very hard to make each one of these.
That makes me feel incredibly optimistic.
In a world where AI gets smarter and smarter, this is probably going to be the next major platform after phones.
I miss hugging my mom.
Yeah, haptics is hard.
How does generative AI change how social media feels?
We haven't found the end yet.
The average American has fewer friends now than they did 15 years ago. Why do you think that's happening?
I mean, there's a lot going on to unpack there.
I'm about to interview Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg.
There are not that many people with more power over what our future might look like. Nearly half the total human population now uses Meta products. And I just tested some of their new tech that feels like science fiction. This is crazy. Mark Zuckerberg and the team at Meta are imagining a future that billions of other people might actually end up living in. So my goal for this conversation is to try to figure out what that future really looks like, to paint a picture of the future Mark Zuckerberg is trying to build, so that you can decide for yourself what you think of it. Welcome to the first episode of our new series, Huge Conversations.
Hey, good to meet you. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome. I'd love to tell you what my goal is of this conversation.
Go for it.
So we have a show called Huge If True, which is this very optimistic show about science and technology and the potential futures that we can build. And in every episode, we're sort of exploring what does it look like if you play a certain technological future out. And so my goal.
Yo, do you guys just want to watch this? It's 40 minutes. I'm down to stay live for 40 minutes. We would end at 3 p.m. and then we'll start a new stream for the market close at 3:45. Yeah, yes or no in the chat. If you guys want to leave, you can leave, but I'm down to stay for 40 minutes and have this play. I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick and then let me know. And then if not, then we'll end it. If so, then we'll watch the whole thing.
Well, in this conversation is to try to help people see the future that you're imagining when you're building the products that you and the Meta team are building. what are you imagining this looks like in the future? How are you imagining people use this? All of that.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Awesome. So I'd love to start with these.
Let's do it. 10 years of work right there.
I got to demo them a little bit earlier today. I heard someone on your team call these the real life Tony Stark glasses,
We're getting there.
but I'd love to just hear in your voice. What are these?
Well, these are the first full holographic augmented reality glasses, I think, that exist in the world. We've made, I think it's a few thousand or something, right? Very hard to make each one of these. But this is the culmination of 10 years of research and development that we've done to basically miniaturize all the computing that you need to have glasses, not a headset, but glasses that can put full holograms into the world with a wide field of view. So you can imagine sort of in the future, we'd be having a version of this conversation where, you know, maybe I or you are not even here. It's like one of us is physically here and the other one is here as kind of a full body hologram. And it's not just a video call. You can actually interact. You can do things. I mean, in the demo, we had the, you know, ping pong and games and things like that. But I mean, you can interact, you can work together, you can, you know, play poker, play chess, whatever, like the holographic cards, holographic board game. I just think it's going to be wild. It's going to remake, I think, so many different fields that we think about today, from how we work and productivity to a lot of things around science, a lot of things around education, entertainment, fun, gaming. But this is just the beginning. You know, this is the first version. It's a prototype version that we've made in order to develop the next version, which is hopefully going to be the consumer one that we sell to a lot of people.
Why build these?
Well, I think it's going to be the next major computing platform. So if you look at like the grand arc of computing over time, you've gone from like mainframes to computers that basically like live on, you know, your desk or on a tower, to phones that you have in your hand that you basically like, you know, can take with you everywhere that you want. But it's pretty unnatural, right? It takes you away from the world around you. And I think that the trend in computing is it gets more ubiquitous, it gets more natural, and it just gets more social, right? So you want to be able to interact with people in the world around you. And I think that this is probably going to be the next major platform after phones.
I'll give these to you. These are the clear ones that show all
the
of the
whole
technology.
thing is a special edition, and this is like a really special edition. There's not a single millimeter of space. It's, you know, everything in here, from the micro projectors that basically shoot light into the waveguides, right? It's a special type of display system. I mean, these aren't normal displays like you have in a phone or a TV or computer, like the type of displays that people have been building for decades. It's a waveguide system. The projector that's shooting light basically goes into these nano etchings across the waveguide that are what catches and creates the holograms. In order to synchronize that with where you're looking, there's eye tracking and little cameras. They illuminate your eyes. And then, of course, there's all the basic stuff that you need, all the computing, the batteries to power the whole thing, microphones, the speakers, because it needs to be able to play audio and speak with you, and the cameras and sensors to see things around you in the world. So that way, when it's placing holograms in the world, it can do that in the right place and understand where you are. So that probably is still not covering everything, because there's a lot of things that need to go into syncing up the holographic images between the two displays, because you don't just have a single display like you have in a phone or TV. You have two, and it moves around, and you know, physical things are hard and need to be synced up. There's also the radio that has to communicate with your other computing devices to do heavier computing, and the wrist-based neural interface that you probably got to try out. We kind of miniaturized all of this and fit it into you know, normal-looking pair of glasses, which is you know, when I told the team that we were going to do this 10 years ago, you know, people weren't sure if we were going to be able to. But I think, you know, not only are we going to be able to do this, but I think we're going to be able to get it cheaper and higher quality and even smaller and more stylish over time. So I think this is going to be a pretty wild future.
There are so many versions of trying to get at a similar idea of digital objects in physical space I'm thinking of, for example, glasses that have heads-up displays where it's head-locked and it's moving with my eyes. Glasses that are really creating digital objects in physical space that don't move as I move. I'm thinking of these. I'm also thinking of the Snapchat spectacles that they just announced. Then on the other hand, there are headsets like the Quest and also like the Apple Vision Pro that seem to fall into a different category. I'm curious how you would organize this landscape for people and how you think about people using these tools in their real lives in the near future.
Yeah. So when we were getting started on this about 10 years ago, I thought that something like this was going to be the ultimate product for everyone, right? You get to, normal looking pair of glasses, and we'll continue improving that can have full holographic images.
Yeah.
I think it's super powerful, and it is sort of the science fiction future that I think we all hope to get to. On the journey, we took a few other approaches as well to help us develop towards that, including building glasses that don't have displays to try to learn. Just take a stylish pair of glasses today and put as much technology into it as you can, but really focus on the form factor. And that's the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and it's doing really well. And initially, we thought that that was sort of intro product for us to learn how to build this. But one of the things that's clear now is you're going to be able to make that product a lot more affordable than this, probably permanently. So I actually think that there are going to be a bunch of different of these paths that we've taken are going to be kind of permanent product lines that people will choose. I think you'll see displayless glasses like the Ray-Ban Metas continue to get better and better. Great for AI. No display, but you can talk to it. It can talk back. I think that there's going to be something in between these that's basically a heads-up display. So it's not a 70-degree field of view. Maybe it's a 20-degree or 30-degree field of view. So that's not going to be what you want for putting kind of a full hologram of a person or interacting with the world around you. But it's going to be great for, when you're talking to AI, not just having voice, but also being able to see what it's saying.
Yeah.
Right? Or being able to text someone with your wrist-based neural interface and then have their text show up rather than having it read to you, we read faster than we can listen. Or getting directions, right? Or just being able to search for information and get all that. So there's a lot of value for a heads-up display. That will be somewhat more expensive than the displayless glasses, but somewhat cheaper than this. Then I think you're going to get this. It's going to be probably the most premium and expensive of the glasses products, but hopefully still something that, like a computer, is generally accessible to most people in the world. But I think that there are going to be all of those. And I think people will like them. I also think that the headsets that people are using around mixed reality will continue to be a thing too, because no matter how good we get at miniaturizing the tech for this, you're just going to be able to fit more compute into a full headset. Fundamentally, our mission is not, build something that is advanced and only a few people can use. We want to take it the last mile and do all the innovation to get it to everyone. We, just shipped or announced Quest 3S, the new mixed reality headset. We basically are delivering high quality mixed reality for $299. I was really proud last year when we delivered Quest 3, the first kind of really high quality, high resolution color mixed reality device for $500, right? It's like a fraction of the cost of what the competitors are doing. And I think it's actually higher quality in a lot of ways. And now we've just doubled down on that. So I think that they're all actually going to end up being important long-term product lines. Displayless, heads-up display, full holographic AR, full headsets. I think that they're all going to be important.
Yeah. If you play out the future of not just the hardware that we've been talking about, so Meta Ray-Bans, Quest, Orion, but also the Llama models, if everything goes according to you and the team's wildest dreams, I'd love for you to just begin to describe what that feels like.
I mean, I think that there are two primary values that we're trying to bring. On the AR and kind of mixed reality side, the main value we're trying to bring is this feeling of presence, right? So there's something that I think is just really deep about being physically present with another person that you don't get from any other technology today. And I think that that's the thing when people have a very visceral reaction to experiencing virtual or mixed reality. What they're really reacting to is that they actually, for the first time with technology, feel a sense of presence, like they're in a place with a person. And that's super powerful. Like I've focused on designing social apps and experiences for 20 years. That's sort of like the holy grail of that, is being able to build a technology platform that delivers this like deep sense of social presence. The other big track is around personalized AI. And for that, and that's sort of where Llama and Meta AI and all of those things are going. There's all this development that's going into making the models smarter and smarter over time. But I think where this is going to get really compelling is when it's personalized for you. And in order for it to be personalized for you, it has to have context and understand what's going on in your life, both kind of at a global level and like what's physically happening around you right now. And in order to do that, I think that glasses are going to be the ideal form factor, because they're positioned on your face in a way where they can let them see what you see and hear what you hear, which are the two most important senses that we use for kind of taking in information and context about the world. I think that this is all going to be kind of really deep and profound stuff. But it's basically those two things. It's this feeling of presence and this capability of really personalized intelligence that can help you.
I'd love to talk about each of those two things.
Mm-hmm.
The first, on presence, I owe a lot to being able to connect with people online, right? This job that I have is by definition.
Yeah.
Also with my family. My parents don't live anywhere close to me. I video call them a lot. And when I think about the progress of technology like this, in a timeline from like the telegram to the telephone to video call to some feeling of presence with another person who feels like they're right there in front of me.
Yeah.
That makes me feel incredibly optimistic. I would love a future where like I can lose in Scrabble to my mom and feel like she's really there in front of me.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're not that far away from something
I agree.
that persuades my brain that that's happening.
Yeah, totally.
And also, I miss hugging my mom, right? Like that never goes away.
Yeah, haptics is hard.
Yeah.
But
and so my question is about that. It's about this feeling of like, it's hard for me to imagine a future where real physical presence is not different and special in some way, where I don't miss literally hugging my mom.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how you think about the parts of human connection that are eye contact and physical touch and things that our ape brains value for connection with other people.
Yeah, well, eye contact, I think we're going to get to a lot before the touch part. For haptics, I do think we'll make progress on that, but it's obviously, there's a spectrum there too, from kind of hands, which is where if you draw out the kind of like homunculus version of a person in terms of like what are our kind of sensory, what's like the majority of what we're sensing.
Yeah,
it's like it's hand. Yeah. So I think being able to do that for your hands is probably the most important place to start. And you have a rough version of that with controllers today. I think that'll get even more over time. We have this demo playing ping pong where you have a controller where as the digital ball hits the ping pong paddle, you feel it hit as if it's hitting the ping pong paddle wherever it is. So you actually have a sense of like where it's hitting the paddle. So I think that was just a wild demo. So I think we'll get some of that. The most extreme version of this is wanting force feedback, right? So I mean, like for doing a lot of sports, right? It's like, okay, we can kind of do a good approximation of like boxing today, where you get like good feedback on your hands, but it would be hard to do a virtual reality version of jujitsu where you're like grappling with someone and you need like real kind of force feedback on it. So that's probably like the hardest thing, right, to go do. But I think we'll get there. I think like most science fiction, it's not this binary thing that you just like wake up one day and we're like, oh, we've realized all the dreams. But I do think that these platforms are going to be the first time that I think that there's a realistic sense of presence in all the ways that that's special to people for most things that people want to do, which are not the most physical ones. And even some of the basic physical ones I think we'll get. But then there's a long tail of other stuff. I mean, smell is also really important for people.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's disproportionately important for memories. And that's not really a thing that I think in the next few years we're going to have in any of these devices. I mean, that's a very difficult and challenging thing on its own.
What is the piece of that that you feel most interested in, that you keep coming back to in your mind?
This has the frustrating property to develop that the sense of presence is almost like when you're designing something that's sort of trying to artificially deliver it, you're delivering an illusion to a person. And more than any one thing that provides a sense of presence, it's actually more the case that any one thing done wrong breaks the sense of presence. You kind of know that you're interacting with technology, but it's so convincing that that you just kind of go along with it. And you're like, okay, yeah, no, this person feels like feel like they're there, right? When I did that ping pong demo, I like at the end of it, I dropped the ping pong paddle on the virtual table and it shattered. So that was not the best for our internal development, but like that's winning in our development, right? It's like when you feel like something is kind of so realistic that you're just convinced that that it's there. Now, and there are a lot of things that can break that, right? So I think a field of view that's too low, right? So something feels real, but then you turn your head and it's not there. Latency, right? Physics that don't behave like realistic physics. It also is interesting in some ways what people can accept as physically real, even though it's not, right? So like we've done a ton of work on avatars. We have this whole work stream on codec avatars to do these photorealistic avatars. And I think it's going to be incredibly compelling and people are going to love it. But one of the things that I found interesting is the ability to mix photorealistic and expressive, kind of the cartoony avatars, with photorealistic worlds and kind of more cartoony computer game type worlds. So you can have a codec kind of photorealistic avatar of a person in what is clearly like a video game or cartoon world. And people are generally pretty fine with that. It's like, okay, that feels pretty good. And similarly, having a photorealistic world, but good, increasingly good kind of cartoon avatars, as long as the avatars move in a way that feels authentic to the person you're interacting with, it actually feels pretty good. You know, it's when you look at a 2D still frame of it, some of the stuff can look a little bit silly, and we've certainly had our share of memes around that. But when you're in there, and you've played around with a lot of the stuff, it feels realistic because it's basically mimicking the kind of authentic mannerisms of a person that you're interacting with.
Yeah.
And even if it's not a codec photorealistic avatar, if it's kind of a more cartoony, expressive one. So I think that's it's very interesting to see kind of which pieces you need to unlock and where you just need to be like very technically excellent and consistent. But it's this isn't a space where it's like you deliver one thing and it's good. This is like there's a wide breadth of things that you need to nail and then have it all come together. And that's why these are 10-year projects.
It seems like an interesting way to learn about the human brain and what we actually care about with respect to what feels real. I was wondering there was this moment in an interview that you did with Lex Friedman. You quoted research that says that the average American has fewer friends now than they did 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was so interested in that because it seems like if we want to get to a world where there's more human connection, this is the trend that we're going to have to grapple with.
Yo, put in the chat, how many friends do you have? How many friends do you have? If you have to quantify it, how many actual friends do you have?
And just to give some data on this, in the American Time Use Survey, over the last 20 years, the amount of time American adults spend socializing in person has dropped by nearly 30%. For ages 15 to 24, according to the Surgeon General, it's nearly 70%. And I look at that data and I think to myself, well, maybe if we're all socializing digitally, that doesn't matter so much. Maybe there's a future where that's actually fine. But there's also data that...
Okay, shout out to Young CEO. I have 36.97 friends. If you know, you know. That was a good one. I like that one. That was good.
Suggests that we're struggling somewhat. The number of Americans who say that they don't have a single close friend.
Yeah.
That share has jumped
really
from 3% to 12% in the last 30 years. It feels to me like with all the tools that we've built for human connection, we're struggling to connect. And I'm curious, why do you think that's happening?
I mean, there's a lot going on to unpack there. A lot has changed sort of economically and socially during that period, and a lot of those trends go back before a lot of the modern technology. So I mean, this is something that a lot of academics and folks have studied, but it is an interesting lens to look at this, though, because I think whenever you're talking about building digital types of connection, one of the first questions that you get is that going to replace the physical connection? And my answer to that, especially in the case of something like this, is that no, because people already don't have as much connection as they would like to have. It's not like this is replacing some sort of better physical connection that they would have otherwise had. It's that the average person would like to have 10 friends and they have 2, right? Or 3. And there's just more demand to socialize than what people are able to do given the current construct. And giving people the ability to be present with people who are in other places physically just seems like it will unlock more. It's not going to make it so, if I have glasses, it's not going to make it that I spend less time with my wife. It's going to make it so that I spend more time with, my sister who lives across the country. And I think that's good. And I think people need that. As for the rest, I think we could probably spend a multi-hour podcast just going into all of the different kind of socio-economic, political dynamics that are going on. But none of the trends that I've seen does it seem like the primary thing that's going on is that because people are interacting online, they're now not interacting with people physically.
Now remember, Zucks has to say this. I mean, I love Zucks, but he has to say that online social media does not stop real life interaction, because if he says the opposite, he starts affirming all these academic studies coming out saying that social media is ruining our physical interaction. So you got to take it with a grain of salt when he says that. I mean, he literally has $1.4 trillion on this idea that being online doesn't hurt real world interactions.
Now, certainly, I think I do interact with people online who I also like to interact with physically, and I think that's kind of like a combination, like more combined, richer relationship that you have overall. But I think that there's a lot going on with the loss of kind of social capital and connections that really predates a lot of the modern technology.
The goal of what I'm trying most to learn about is how we can structure the technologies that we use in the future to get toward this future I think you're imagining of more human connection in more ways. I'm curious, you brought up the other big pillar of AI. And in some of your conversations, I'm thinking of a conversation with Tim Ferriss in particular. You talked about a lot of different use cases of AI. And they seem to me to fall on somewhat of a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, you mentioned automatic real-time translation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like basically the Star Trek translator, universal translator.
I think we're pretty much there.
Yeah. And that's one example on one end of the spectrum where some people might argue that there is a chance that someone is less likely, for example, to learn a language because we can all speak to each other in real time in different languages. I think nobody would really argue that therefore we shouldn't have that kind of universal translator, right?
Also,
Like,
a lot of people still learn Latin and Greek.
Right, exactly.
So.
And so I think that end of the spectrum is something like technologies that really measurably unlock our humanity because they remove a struggle between people. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there are a lot of educational things, for example, where the struggle is kind of the point, right? Like it's like building a muscle. Like I can think of so many times in my life where like the reason why I was doing something was not the output. It was the fact that I was trying so hard to do it. There's one example in the Tim Ferriss interview where you talked about your kids struggling to articulate themselves emotionally. And adults very much have the same problem. And you talked about AI as a way to help them articulate those emotions.
Yeah.
And I thought about all of the many times in my life where I have struggled to articulate my emotions and how I really could have used some help in those moments. And I also find myself thinking about the times when that was really building a muscle, where like the act of struggling to communicate with someone and understand what they wanted from me was important to my development. And so my question is, if you think about that as a spectrum between things that are really important to our humanity, and the struggle being removed is helpful, versus things where the struggle is the point and it unlocks something about our humanity and is important to preserve, like building a muscle. How do you draw the line between those things, and how do we ensure that the muscles that we're building for this future are stronger and not weaker?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think we're always going to find new things to struggle with. And I mean, you can always get better at communicating with other people and kind of expressing yourself and understanding other people. So having a tool that can help you do that better isn't going to mean that like, oh, now we perfectly understand it's, I mean, and I mean, I think maybe one of the most functional aspects of this, you're already seeing a lot of these AI models really help people with coding, right? Like a generation ago, before I was getting started, a lot of coding was like really low level system software. And, then by the time that I got into it, there's a little bit of that, but, you can make websites pretty easily, make apps pretty easily. And I think in 20 years or a lot sooner than that, you're going to basically be in a world where kids will be able to just describe the things that they want and build incredibly complex pieces of software. So it's in that world, are kids going to be not struggling? I don't think so. I think that they're going to be just expressing their creativity, and it'll be this kind of constant iterative feedback loop around like, okay, like, yeah, I took a few minutes to describe this thing. And like, yeah, this whole like amazing virtual world was created that I can now see on my glasses or whatever. But like, these things are not exactly what I want them to be. So now I need to like go back and edit them. I don't know. I think that there's always more.
Another way to get at this,
one of the things that I think makes people so good. It just there's always more to do.
We'll always find the struggle.
Yeah.
Another way to get at this is if you play this out to make the tools even better. In like 10 years, let's say your kids are in high school. Are there ways that you would want them using AI because you think it would accelerate them intellectually, and ways that you would advocate for them not to use it, or things that you would have concerns about?
I mean, I think that there's some things that you need to be able to do yourself. I think that that's a lot of the basic fear that people have around this.
I agree with that.
Is that while we're building these amazing tools, we get away from the self-confidence and ability of being able to do like this basic stuff yourself. So it's like, all right, you have a calculator, but it's still good to be able to do kind of basic math in your head, because there are a lot of things that come up throughout the day that you just want to have a general numeracy around, right? That often they're not expressed in numerical terms, but just in terms of understanding trends or understanding arguments that people are making, you kind of need to understand the shape of how numbers come together. And so I think one of the big debates is like, should we still teach our kids to program computers, even though you're going to have these tools in the future?
This is interesting because computer science is still a highly lucrative degree for now. So it's interesting to get Zucks' take on if it even matters.
That are just so much more powerful than anything that we have now to produce incredibly complicated pieces of software. I think the answer to that is probably yes, because I think teaching someone how to code is teaching them a way to think rigorously. And that even if they're not doing most of the code production, I think it's important that you kind of have the ability to think in that way.
So this is a very politically correct answer. Vlad talked about this in a new podcast as well that came out this morning. I'll be putting some clips of that on Twitter. But Vlad said I was a math major to learn how to think and solve problems. That's not really answering the question, though. If you learn how to code, I don't think coders are going out of business anytime soon. But will you actually be required to code 10 years from now if the AI is that good? It's good for critical thinking, but will Google pay someone $200,000 to code if AI can do it?
And I think it's going to just make you generally a better thinker and better person. So yeah, maybe that's like this generation's version of calculators. It's like, so you'll want to use the calculator, but you'll also want to be able to generally do without it. Other ones like language, I don't know. I mean, different people can come out. I mean, I think this is one of the interesting questions about parenting these days is like, is just kind of like what's important to teach your kids and in an era where so much is going to change over the time that they're even in school. Language, I think you can make similar arguments. I think that there's a lot of it's probably going to be less functionally relevant in the future to learn multiple languages, but it sort of helps you think in different ways. I've found from the languages that I've studied that a lot of it, yeah, you learn about the structure of your own language. You can, you also learn about the culture, right? Because so much of how things are expressed in different places is tied to the nuance and the history of kind of how. So I think like that's all valuable and interesting stuff to get into. But then I don't know, at the same time, we only have so many hours in the day. So people need to prioritize what they're going to learn. And it may be that, okay, in a world with perfect translation, which by the way, we basically just announced on the Ray-Ban Metas that now you're going to be able to just like you go to different countries. We're starting out. Wild. Yeah, we're starting out with just a few languages, but we'll roll it out to more. And you could be traveling anywhere and you have your glasses and they just translate in real time in your ear. So it's wild. So I think people are going to need to choose what they want to focus on going forward.
How do the developments that we've been talking about in AI intersect with social media and the platforms that most people use today? There's a future where there's generated images and generated text and maybe AI influencers. How does generative AI change how social media feels in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really deep one. There's already been one big shift, which is that social media started out as people primarily interacting with their friends. And now it is, at least half of the content is basically people interacting with creators or content that's not created by people who they kind of personally know. So we sort of already have that paradigm. And I think AI is probably going to accelerate that. It will give all these people additional tools, right? So your friends will create kind of funnier memes and more interesting content. That'll come from a lot of different ways. I think some of it will be, okay,
By the way, I just did that. I went into Grok and I said, show me a picture of Mark Zuckerberg eating an apple. And I just tweeted that. I tried to do that in ChatGPT and they said, hey, that's not allowed. But when he said your friends will make more memes with AI, I quite literally just did that. So I imagine we're just beginning in that process over the next decade with more advanced AI.
Friends have glasses and they capture a bunch of stuff. And before they might have not been able to edit it to make it interesting, or maybe it was just too much work, or they didn't even realize that they captured something amazing. But now the AI is like, hey, I like made this thing for you out of your content. And it's like, okay, that's awesome. Like people enjoy that. Creators, obviously, kind of much more specialized skills are going to be able to use even more advanced AI tools to make more compelling content. But then I think that there will be a bunch of kind of green field type stuff where maybe in the future, there will be content that is purely generated by AI, by the system, personalized for you. Maybe it's summarizing things that are out there that are going to be interesting. Maybe it's just producing something funny that makes you laugh. This is going to be like a very kind of deep zone that there's a lot to experiment with. I know there are going to be AI creators as well as creators building AI versions of themselves. I mean, that's a thing that we just showed too at Connect. Is basically, I mean, if you're a creator, one of the big challenges is like, all right, there are only so many hours in the day and your community probably has a nearly unlimited demand to interact with you, and you want to interact with them because you're trying to grow your community. I mean, that's both socially and from a business perspective. That's sort of, growing the community is an important part of what every creator does. So, okay, if we can make it so that each creator can basically make an AI artifact that their community can interact with, people will be clear that it's not the actual creator themselves, but it's almost like a piece of digital art that you're producing, like an interactive sculpture or something that it's like you train it to, here's the context that I wanted to have, here's the topics I wanted to communicate on, here's stuff that I wanted to stay away from. You're giving your community something to interact with when you can't be there to kind of answer all the questions. And I think that's going to be super compelling. So there's like all these interesting things, but I think AI, it's kind of like the internet in a way where it's probably going to change almost every field and almost every feature of every application that we use. It seems sort of hyperbolic to say that, but I do think that's true. And it's just hard to sort of enumerate all the different things up front. But I think that over the next 5 to 10 years, we're just going to explore the impacts in each of these areas. And it's going to be like an amazing amount of innovation and really exciting.
I feel two things simultaneously when you say that. I feel both like I really want to be optimistic about the future of these platforms. And I obviously have gained so much from an enormous pace of change, right? Like everything that we're doing now. And what I actually feel is worried. I feel some specific concerns around the way that, I might communicate with an audience and the way that they might respond to that, or the way that human communication might change, but also more generalized, just sort of fear of the pace of change and worry.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm alone in that feeling.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be the optimist.
I know. And I'm curious, like, how you talk to people who feel that way. What concerns do you feel are most legitimate, and what do you feel most misunderstood?
I think the pace of change is always a concerning thing, right? It's there is a lot of uncertainty about how things will go in the future, and we're all going to get really amazing new tools to do both our hobbies and our jobs, and they'll make it so we can do better work and have better lives. But at least on the professional side, it's going to be our responsibility to keep up with that, or else it's going to be difficult for us to compete with other people who are doing a good job of kind of keeping up with the new trends. So I get it. I mean, I think, especially in the, line of work of being a creator, and it's a very sort of competitive space. I don't think that like creators necessarily think about it as competitive, but it is, right? It's like, it's, and so I get it. I think that this is going to make it so that like the quality of work that people produce and how interesting it is and how much they can communicate and like really efficiently is just going to kind of go through the roof. But when you're staring down a set of changes, like that there's some big change coming and you don't know what it is, that's always a time of anxiety. So I get it.
If I take my creator hat off and I'm just a person who is young-ish, starting out my career-ish, starting out building a family, how would you advise someone like me to prepare well for the future that we're headed toward, to be able to learn new skills now, or just think about this future in an educated way?
Yeah. I mean, I just think maintaining curiosity about things is important. I do think we can overstate to what extent the next 10 years is going to be sort of different from the last 10 or 15. I mean, a ton of stuff changed over the last 10 or 15 years too. It's not like this is the only time in history where there's some technology that's going to make it so that there's new opportunities and things change. The internet coming into maturity and everyone having smartphones has already rewired things dramatically. And I mean, maybe the next period will be a somewhat bigger change, or maybe it won't. I think it'll feel different to different people, but I don't think this is like going from 0 to 1. It's not like, okay, everything's just kind of been normal and now it's about to change. It's like the technology evolves over time, and like the opportunities that we have evolve and improve. And I think that's like the people who do well, I think are people who are generally curious about it and dig in and try to use it to live better lives, rather than the people who basically try to fight it or in some way.
One thing that I really want to ask you about is open source.
Yeah.
I think, imagine that we're talking to an audience that has maybe heard that term, but doesn't have any real idea of how that might impact them in the development of AI.
Yeah.
How would you explain the reasonable debate that people in your field are having about this right now?
Well, I think there are two pieces. I mean, so what does open source mean? It means that people can build a lot of different things, right? So at a high level, I look at the vision that a bunch of companies have, right? So OpenAI, Google, they're building an AI, right? Like one AI that I think in general, they're like, okay, this is going to be, it's like you're going to use they think you're going to use Gemini or ChatGPT for like all of the different things that you want to interact with. And at a high level, that's just not how I think the world is going to go. I think we're going to have a lot of different AI systems, just like we have a lot of different apps. I think in the future, every business, just like they have a website and a phone number and an email address and a social media account, is also going to have an AI that can interact with their customers to help them sell things, to help them do support. I think a lot of creators will have their own AIs, right? I think like a lot of people will interact with a bunch of different things. There's a question of, okay, do you want a future that's fundamentally kind of very concentrated and where you're interacting with kind of one system for everything? Or do you want one where a lot of different people are building a lot of different AIs and systems, just kind of like you probably didn't want there to be, just one app or just one website. It's like a richer world when there's a diversity of different things. So that's one piece, is just giving people the ability to build it themselves. And what open source does, it makes it so that everyone can take and modify the model and build stuff on top of it, which is different from the kind of closed and centralized approach. The safety debate is a specific part of this, which is in a world where AI gets smarter and smarter, what's the way that we have the highest chance of having a kind of positive future and not having a lot of the safety concerns? And I think some people think that if we keep the model closed and don't give it to a lot of developers, that should make it safer, because then you don't get bad developers doing bad things with the model. Historically, I think what we've seen with open source is actually the opposite, which is that this is not the first open source project, right? I mean, this has been a thing in the industry for decades. And I think what we've traditionally seen is that open source software is safer and more secure, largely because you put it out there, more people can scrutinize it because they can see all parts of the system. And then there are inevitably issues with any software. There are bugs, there are security issues. And initially with open source, people thought, hey, if you're putting the software out there and there are holes in it, isn't everyone just going to go exploit those holes, and especially the bad guys? But it turned out that it's sort of in this counterintuitive way that by adding more scrutiny to the systems, the holes became apparent quicker and then were fixed. And then people roll out a new version, just like we roll out a new version of our models, right? Llama 3, Llama 3.1, Llama 3.2, everyone upgrades. So I think the same thing is going to happen here. I think it's sort of this counterintuitive thing where, even though I think there's some concern around, all right, are bad guys going to do bad things with these models? I actually think you just get a kind of smarter and safer model for everyone the more it's rolled out and the more kind of scrutiny is on it. And then part of that is we get feedback and we make the model safer, so that as we roll it out to more people, it's safer for more people to use. So I think that the history of open source and the software industry generally would suggest that open source is going to lead to a more prosperous and safer future.
Our show is called Huge If True. And what I mean by that is kind of testing the most optimistic, non-obvious thing.
Mhm.
And so my question to you is, what is the biggest open, genuine question on your mind right now?
In which field?
You're in so many. I am particularly curious about the combination of AI and hardware, but I realize that we've covered a lot.
Mhm.
So I'm curious the direction you'd take this on a question that occupies you right now.
Gosh, I mean, I think maybe one that's a little more AI specific is there a current set of methods that seem to be scaling very well,
Mhm.
right? So with past AI architectures, you could kind of feed an AI system a certain amount of data and use a certain amount of compute, but eventually it hit a plateau.
Mhm.
And one of the interesting things about these new transformer-based architectures over the last, 5 to 10 years is that we haven't found the end yet. So that leads to this dynamic where Llama 3, we could train on 10 to 20,000 GPUs. Llama 4, we could train on more than 100,000 GPUs. Llama 5, we can plan to scale even further. And there's just an interesting question of how far that goes. It's totally possible that at some point we just like hit a limit, and just like previous systems, there's an asymptote and it doesn't keep on growing. But it's also possible that that limit is not going to happen anytime soon, and that we're going to be able to keep on just building more clusters and generating more, synthetic data to train the systems, and that they're just going to keep on getting more and more useful for people for quite a while to come. And it's a really big and high stakes question, I think, for the companies, because we're basically making these bets on how much infrastructure to build out for the future. And this is like hundreds of billions of dollars of infrastructure. So like, I'm clearly betting that this is going to keep scaling for a while. But it's one of the big questions, I think, in the field, because it is possible that it doesn't. That obviously would lead to a very different world where I'm sure people will still figure it out eventually. Just need to make some new fundamental improvements to the architecture in some way. But that might be a somewhat longer trajectory for, okay, maybe, the kind of fundamental AI advances slow down for a bit, and we just take some time to build new products around this. Or it could be the case, and that's what I'm betting on, that the fundamental AI will just continue advancing for quite a while, and that we're going to get both a new set of products that are just really compelling in all these ways, and that the technology landscape and what's possible will just continue being dynamic over like a 20-year period. And that's probably what I'd guess is going to happen. But I think it's one of the bigger questions in the industry and kind of for technology across the world today.
Is there anything else that you want to say?
I don't know.
Awesome.
I think we're good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Okay, so that was an awkward end, wasn't it? Is there anything else you want to say? That's kind of weird. So I don't really watch these interviews that in depth. Maybe we do that once a week on the channel or once every couple days. I mean, like, if it was not for this, watching this together, I would not have watched this interview. I promise you that. Like, I don't know. I don't sit through stuff like that too much. So maybe, I don't know, once every week we have a stream for like 2 hours where we just watch like something really interesting that everyone cares about. I don't know if I got too much from that interview, to be honest. I don't think she asked him anything that was that different that we've heard Zucks talk about before. I think they needed to go a little bit more deep. I mean, as a business guy, I would have said, hey, how the fuck are you guys going to scale these glasses? Like, really, how do you go in depth to make these glasses become the next paradigmatic approach to hardware? She went into like social media and friendships, which is like, it's cool, but like, I care more about like the business use case of that. So I would have gone deeper on that. But overall, decent interview. I'm going to end the stream here, folks. I'll be back at 3:45 for the market close. We got a lot to discuss. We have Tom Lee on CNBC. We'll listen to his thoughts. We have Micron earnings. That'll be a big one. We have Jose, who'll be joining us after Micron at 4:15. Micron right here at 95.30. It's up 1.39%. This is not the biggest player in the semiconductor space, but they are an important company, $105 billion bucks. They're down about 30-40% since the July top. So I would imagine a good earnings pumps them up. But if they have a good earnings and they crash, then, we'll see how that plays out. So we'll see what happens with that on the market close. And yeah, I'll be back in 30 minutes. I wouldn't do the market close here because I'm pretty sure the stream is going to get copyrighted because we listen to a ton of music at the Meta event. So YouTube's going to be YouTube. So we'll start a fresh stream. It's already loaded up, so you can load it up. I'll be back in 40 minutes or 35 minutes. And 3:45. We'll keep going from there. All right, that's it. Thank you, guys. I'll see you in 30 minutes. Bye, everyone.